computer. And let me see, where are my slides now? Let me open my slides. Hold on a minute, folks. I may have closed them down.
Hi, I'm Eileen and Diane. It's Heather. I'm here. I'm just eating. So I had my camera off, but I'm here.
Oh, okay. Yes, I saw you. And she's going to, Dr. Heather Reynolds will kick this off in a moment. And I will hopefully ask you if you are seeing a PowerPoint. Can you see a PowerPoint, guys?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thumbs up. Okay. And we've been using Teams a lot. I don't know if anyone's been using Teams from Microsoft. So what we want to cover tonight is, first of all, faculty will greet you. I don't think we're going to have time to get individual introductions, but we do a lot of that in our courses. So we'll get to know you pretty well that way. We're then going to overview the program and look at some of the support services that you'll get. Then we'll look at the academic piece, the courses, and we'll start explaining some of the ways our courses work. But because you're coming in from different backgrounds, we have different tracks, we have a lot of diversity among the students, we won't get too into the weeds about exactly what course sequence you'll be taking, because you'll work with an advisor. And since you're all first semester students who are just recently into the program, we'll get to know you a lot in the courses. Our courses are online, but I think you're going to find they're quite personal. We'll get to know you. And then we'll have an advisement session with your advisor where you can really decide what particular courses you want to take. So are we getting a little echoing here? Somebody might need to mute their mic. Yeah, and if you bring your mouse down to the bottom of the screen, at least on mine, because I'm on a computer, up pop the different windows. And if your mic is giving an echoing, then you could just, you know, have, you know, if you mute it, we'll be able to hear you. I'll be watching the chat, but I'm not real smart. So if I miss something, we'll look at the chat later. And also, there are going to be a group of us speaking, and we'll all try to answer your questions. But again, put things in the chat. If we don't get to them tonight, we can follow up on them later. I am recording this. And so I think without further ado, I'm going to go over here and click on the first slide and ask Dr. Heather Reynolds, who's joining us to, oh, I'm seeing a family person there, to kick this off and say hello, tell us a little bit about herself, and we'll tell you a little bit about ourselves as well. So Heather, I'm going to turn off my mic, I think.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Eileen has been the fabulous coordinator of the MALET program for a number of years. And I am going to give her a break and agreed to be the coordinator, at least for the next year. I primarily work in the Masters of the MED program, the professional certification program. So there'll be some overlap, and I look forward to talking to some of you about that in terms of, I know a number of you are teachers or work in educational settings, and some of you do a lot of different things. And by the way, that is my dog. Just I just realized she's in the background, one of them. And any other, you know, anyone could pop in here at this house. And so I look forward to working with everybody. Eileen has gotten me up to speed, and so I won't be teaching anything in the MALET program this year, but you all can also take classes in the MED program. So maybe I will have the pleasure of meeting you in one of those. So that's all from me. I think I see Diane.
And plus, did you tell him about your ed psych background?
I didn't. How much do you want me to talk, Eileen?
Well, you know, we have to understand that we might be being psychoanalyzed. So maybe you could say something a little bit about your topics.
Yeah, so I come from a background in educational psychology and working with pre-service teachers, and also worked for a number of years in graduate school and afterwards on school and community violence prevention. So unfortunately, that is still as relevant or more relevant today as it was 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I don't even know how long ago, 20 years ago. And I'm back writing about that again. So that's kind of where my research and professional interests are. And yeah, there's my other dog. And I have a 16-year-old son who just ran out, and I live in Saratoga Springs. So there's my intro.
Well, Heather, the 16-year-old son going one way and the dog's going the other, we could all relate.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, at least, you know, at least he's able to go out. And I mean, all of us who either ourselves or who have kids, it's certainly been a challenging 6 months. So I'm just glad the weather's nice and kids are outside, and hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, and we look forward, Heather, if, you know, at some point in the next semester to maybe through our community space, if you were to come speak a little bit about, you know, the stresses that are occurring, you know, not only when kids are in session and physically in classrooms, but now so many of us and so many of our students are working remotely. Some of them thrown into it, and in fact, being the point people, the schools coming to our students saying, "All right, you're the point person because you're in this learning and emerging tech program to help, you know, students and faculty manage." And it's not just academic management; it's just the social and emotional management of dealing with these kind of changes. So we would love to have you kind of have these conversations.
Yeah, I would love to participate. It's knowing the importance of connection and climate of the school, and also feelings of belongingness. This is just devastating. I mean, and how important that is for kids feeling safe at school and feeling you know, and being academically successful. This is really a challenging time. I'm really concerned about so many of our students, our teachers, kids. It's a really hard time. So sure, I'd be happy to just pin me down to a date. All right, that's enough of me. Thank you. I'm going to finish my carrot cake.
Enjoy.
Diane, you want, well, segue into giving us a little bit of an update on you. And I can't tell whether Susan was able to get in yet.
I see Susan on our list. Yes, Susan.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Good. Yeah, good. So are you saying you want me to go next, Diane? Is that the deal?
Oh, I'm fine. No, I'll segue. Thank you. I'm Diane Gall. I'm one of the originals with Eileen and Susan in this program, having started Learning in Emerging Technologies. What is it now, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know if Mark or Nathan are joining us. I think it's
went in around 2010,
yeah.
But I think we got launched in about 2011, 2012.
Right. Yeah. With the idea that a program such as this was increasingly more important for people in a lot of different professions, not just in the K-12 or higher education realm, but in professional organizations, whether it's, you know, for-profit or even not-for-profit museums and cultural institutions. And so I think you will find that your colleagues come from a wide range of backgrounds, and we find that really invigorating, exciting every year. And we welcome everybody to come into the program and then start the process of engaging together and figuring out what are these intersections of our lives on so many different levels and technology, the impact of technology. So the studies that I primarily cover, in addition to individualized studies that I'd be happy to speak with anybody about, is one of the 5 or 6 core studies that we have now in the program called Issues and Ethics in the Digital Age, which is kind of a survey study looking at exactly, as I mentioned before, how technology is impacting us on so many different levels, and how we can be thinking about it not only for ourselves but for our families, children, our students, our coworkers, our community members, on the levels of ethical interactions, and then also finding a space to practice talking about that, not only on this kind of academic level, but then also on practicing talking about what we learn in the academic literature for a more kind of a lay audience. So I think you'll hear from my colleagues how the program kind of has you moving in and out of this practice space, that we are, yes, we're professionals, but also we're like humans on a very day-to-day basis. And that a lot of what we learn and we try to develop, design, practice, and study, we need to find ways to talk about it to a lot of different audiences. So throughout the program, especially in the core studies, that's what happens. And then one of my electives is called Facilitating Learning in Blended and Online Environments, and that is a project-based kind of capstone type elective where you develop something that's really meaningful to you in your specific work. But then again, many of our electives do similar things, but this one is specific to blended or totally online environments. Eileen, I think you have me mostly in the summer doing that elective. So I'll stop there and let others talk a little bit about their core and elective offerings. And any questions later, I'm happy to answer.
Susan, you want to jump in about some of your experience?
Sure. Hi, everybody. I come to the table as the crazy arts person in this environment, as somebody who has used a lot of mediated arts in performative context and using performance and the arts as a way to teach and learn. And so that's sort of the perspective that I bring to the program. And I've got a certificate, which is sort of an arts certificate track that you can do within the program. And that covers a course called Performance Theory, Emerging Media in the Arts, Theory and Practice, one elective of your choice, and then a capstone, which is Interactive Digital Media Arts and Technologies. And so people design their own sort of final project. Oftentimes it's arts teachers, and sometimes it's professional artists who are going into the world of supplementing their freelance creative life by doing tutorials or teachings or workshops and that sort of thing. So we have a number of students who come into the program from that perspective. My professional artistic career has been, I'm trained as a classical actress, a Shakespearean classical actress, and I've also done a lot of theater management and stage management and producing. So I sort of bring that crazy sort of understanding of business as well. So some of you are coming from context where that's something that's important to you. I can work with you in some of those areas as well. Welcome, everybody. You'll see a lot of me in the media literacy course this term. I've got 20 of you in there. So welcome.
Well, and thank you, everybody. I'm going to go back to our agenda so you can remember what we're going to do. And I'll just give you my little quick bio. I'm the STEM coordinator. And way back, I was a chemist. I was a chemist for a number of years for government and industry. And then I went to IBM. Spent 10 years at IBM and really enjoyed it. I was there when the PCs got introduced. I carried the bag. I was in sales. I was in marketing, and took a buyout and went into education. So I bring in the science background, I bring in the technology, and I fell in love with technology years ago and all the things it could do for you. So I bring those two things into the program. My master's is actually in engineering. You know, I'm a civil engineer, but so I behave myself. I'm very civil, but I bring these different backgrounds in. So if you're taking STEM courses, you'll be with me. I don't have the artistic flair, but I love working with the art people. We have STEM and then /STEAM, where you can make me look a lot better by the work you do. So I'm looking forward to, I'll be meeting you in the intro course, the 6005. So I'll get to know you a lot better then. And hopefully you get to know us better. So now we're going to go into some of the nuts and bolts. These next number of slides, and we will be sending these slides out. They do have some links in them that you can open, but we're going over just kind of the core things that you want to keep in mind. And the first thing is where the MALET program, Arts in Learning and Emerging Technology, and we've had this name for 10 years now. So a lot of people are getting on board with technology, but we've been there for quite a while. Your advisors are going to be important. We have a 36 credit program core, you might say. A lot of K-12 teachers very interested in that. For everybody that comes in, we have 5 required courses. We call them core courses. That just means everybody must take them. And you have 4 electives. And where you choose the electives from kind of determines the flavor you're going to have. Now, if you go the 30 credit version, we have 1 capstone, which, you know, pulls together what you've been learning. And we have a lot of courses where you'll be developing work for your own particular needs. Now, if you really are interested in kind of research or an extended study option, we do have 2 additional courses. And again, this gets a little confusing. That's where you're going to have an advisor. If you go the 36 credits, you swap out one of the courses and you take a 3 kind of course sequence that prepares you for doing possible research into maybe an activity that you want to follow up on, or just do some advanced study. So that would be something you would talk about with your advisor. So, you know, just to let you know, we have several options. Also, and we're going to talk about this, open education resources. And I think I have another slide on this, so I won't go into it overly. We got a grant. And in that, because we are an emerging tech program, which means that the things that we use when we teach quickly become out of date. So we tend to use very advanced, you know, level materials coming out either in the field or in the library. And so we will not have you buying a lot of books. Therefore, we reduce the cost of books. We will be having you reading a lot of things though online, doing a lot of work online. So what we want you to do, and we keep on sending this out, is get a good computer. And I will talk about that more. We will save you money on books, but you must have good monitors. You know, you will be under a lot of stress unless you get that. We also have Microsoft Office, which comes along with the package. We have online libraries, we have online academic help, we've got financial aid. We have been online. The Ed Division has been online since it began in 2004. And the MALET program, which spun off from that in about 2011, you know, has been 100% online. So we're not just retooling into that. We live that. But as you've already seen, I think, and you will get to know each other very well, hopefully, certainly my model is that online is a social network. You know, you I'm sure have your social networks we do not want online to be isolating. And I don't know if my cursor shows up here, but we have people coming in from a variety of backgrounds. That's our richness. And people work in a variety of different ways. We have everything from pre-K all the way up to industry. We're getting a lot of people in healthcare right now, a lot of interest in simulations. I do augmented and virtual reality. So we have a lot of things that are going in advanced ways. We have instructional designers who are people that want to work with other experts. So you're going to meet a lot of different people. But I can't overemphasize how important it is to be successful is to get a good computer. And actually the computer that you're seeing in that picture was one of my big monitors with a little webcam on top of it. You need to have a good computer, you need to have good internet. Either get a big monitor, or if you're using laptops, get a second monitor. I tell you, you're going to get bleary-eyed and frustrated if you're constantly trying to go back and forth from one small window to another. So we will keep the cost down. If you get financial aid, depending on the type you can get enough money to get the materials you need. So that shouldn't be a showstopper. Computers today are not that expensive. And when you're taking an emerging technology program, you have to expect that you're going to be using computers. So I should ask my colleagues, do any of you want to jump in about requirements before I look a little bit more at some of the things that are available through the school?
I think the idea of having two monitors is, you know, if you can get to it at all, it really saves a lot, because you're going to have a lot of windows open at the same time, moving things from here to there. And, you know, and having the best broadband that you can, so you have the most speed as possible. You're going to be integrating, you know, some video elements in it as learning modules. And so having a camera that can record you, you know, in the very first core course, I have people do what's called a Pacheco presentation. It's 20 slides by 20 seconds. And it forces you to use visual imagery to communicate all the multiple levels of things that you might not be able to do in text. And so that's one of the final projects that you do in there. You take traditional academic research, you do a research paper, then you translate it into that condensed sort of, I don't want to say abstracted, but condensed and efficient, using the power of visual literacy and visual media. So that's why a good screen and having speed and being able to do that will be very helpful for you. We can't hear you, Eileen.
So you were hearing me before when I thought you weren't. Chromebooks can be good in your school. They've been doing a lot to get people going. Chromebooks will not work with what we're doing. You will have to be able to download apps, to download a viewer. We're going to be working in virtual reality in my courses. Other courses may require apps. You need to have a computer that you own, that you don't have to go run to an administrator all the time and say, can I download this? Can I download that? You know, you're going to have to be facile with technology. We'll have tutorials, we'll be encouraging you, but you need to have the tools. You know, so please, you know, if there's one message you leave with, please leave with that. The other message too is that depending on the instructor, you need to be able to participate on a regular weekly basis. You know, so time management is going to be very important. And we do have support staff. We were at meetings today that can help you with time management if going back to school is different. But be planning that we are not going to be remote. Each instructor runs their course differently. My courses, I do require weekly participation. Some might have a different pacing, but you should be, even if an instructor paces things differently, you should be planning on working on a course on a weekly basis. So, you know, set that up so you can be successful. And we are a full graduate school, but we do promise you that I think you're going to be finding that a lot of the courses that we have should align with things that you're doing in your life. So it shouldn't be an abstraction. We have a lot of projects, a lot of things that should relate the work very directly to your experience. And I'll ask my colleagues if they want to jump in on anything. But otherwise, I will kind of move through some of these slides, which are a little important, but probably not too interesting to talk about. We have kind of two sides of the house. We've got the faculty, and you're meeting with us now. We have the whole other side of the house that really provides a lot of services. And I have a whole, I hope I have a slide on that. Yeah, I do have a slide on some of what they do. But what we do is we're trying to build a professional community. As Dr. Gal just said, she has a whole network that really provides additional community spaces. But you'll have an advisor, which would be one of us that you see here, who will be able to kind of help you make specific selections. We have something called DegreeWorks. And our other side of the house does some training, but that's what they call an audit. I didn't know what an audit was. That just means it kind of keeps track of your courses. It's not a registration system, but it's something that helps you see what courses you have. We have an online library. We've been doing this for years. You know, we have a very good online library. We have a lot of academic aids. We have a writing center, which can help you if writing is not your strong suit. We still do require a lot of things in writing. So, you know, you can get support. And we have Microsoft Office, and oops, meant to take this out. We used to have LinkedIn, which was a very nice service that gave us some nice tutorials, but we don't have that at this point. So I took it out of my other slides, but not there. So that's some of what you have. Just to show you a couple of those pieces, DegreeWorks is not how you register for a course, but it is something that you will go to. I know the Graduate Services Group is going to have some training on this if you need to get help, but this will help you keep track of what you've taken. We also have this library that I mentioned. They have not only a lot of materials and guides, they have a little chat service, and they can often develop things that help faculty support you. Now, we have a lot of student services. Now, we're not here to talk about that. That's not really our bailiwick, but they have been getting in touch with you. So let me just see, would anybody type in the chat? Have you heard from Graduate Services, from the registrar? Just let me know, have you been getting emails from them? Okay.
Good.
Yeah. So you should all know how to get over to those services. And I have a couple of screen captures about that. They are the other side of the house. We will be sending you back and forth. They are important if you're getting any financial aid. There are a lot of events and things that, well, right now we're not having the face-to-face events, but we have a really rich network of things that go on outside of just what we have in terms of the MALET program. And again, I'll send the slides out to the list that I have, and even for people who couldn't make it. So you can click on this, but you know, if you're getting financial aid, pay attention. That factors into the scheduling we'll talk about shortly. Also, you'll be hearing from the registrar's office. We have lots of websites. It's sometimes a mystery to find out where everything is, but we have been going online. We've got a lot of helpful people who can help you get oriented there.
Now, I would recommend as soon as you got those locations that you know you're going to frequent, make sure you bookmark them and keep a little folder in your bookmark, you know, in your bookmarking and tracking those places. Then you don't have to keep hunting around to find it.
Yeah, thanks. And any more ideas from faculty, please bring them in. Now, we'll often be advising you to talk to grad services, and they keep a lot of resources together. And I just took a screen capture of their page, which was there a little while ago. I don't know if they've added. No, I think they have still the same page. You can drill down and find a lot of help there. Microsoft Office is available, and they have materials too that you can drill down to find out how you can use that. Save yourself some money with Microsoft Office. And there's a college email. Now, I put this in because I don't monitor it. I know it's important, we don't always have your personal emails. And be sure that you keep your college email up to date. As you notice, when we send you notifications, we're not allowed to put your email address anywhere in the notification that others can see it. So we often blind copy you on things. So do get a good email, because we don't really know then whether you're getting the notifications from us. So again, I'll send the link out. These are just screen captures that I took from the services group. And so they will be able to help you more. The Writing Center, they came and spoke to us today. They have a lot of supports for graduate and undergraduate level. So if you're uncomfortable with writing, you want a little help, you can get a lot of support from them. And now what I wanted to kind of go into, and I keep on saying I'll be sending out the link. We're now going to kind of look at some of the specific courses that are coming up. And we won't do the individual plan for each one of you now, but I'll go over some generalities. But before I do that, are there questions just about the kind of services that are available? And you could type in the chat if you don't want to take the mic. Okay, I will have to say this isn't always the most exciting stuff, but I promise you our courses are more exciting.
Plenty, as we say.
Yeah. But this is the stage setup. Okay. So for all of you, the 6005 course is the boot camp. You know, it gets you up. You will be making a website. You're going to make mind maps. You're going to be looking at some ed theories. You're going to be looking at instructional design. You're going to need to have Gmail access. All of this will be written into the course, so you don't have to remember it for now. Just be sure you have that good computer. And when I send this out, you will be able to link to see all the courses. Didn't want to overwhelm you with too much to begin with. Just know the first courses you need to sign up for, and we'll be talking with you personally about further courses. Now, this is where I'm going to get into the weeds a little bit. It gets a little complicated. We have something known as tracks. And do all of you remember when you actually went for admission, you've selected a track? And would you be able to? And you just say yes or no. Given the track, could you right now know what track you signed up for? If you could just say yes or no. And there's no penalty if you don't remember. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah. It's, yeah.
Don't remember.
Okay. So we're getting about a third, maybe. But you have to look it up. Yeah. Well, the tracks, and I'll show you what the picture of the tracks in a moment, help us organize the many courses we have into some kind of logical groupings. They're not a given. You do not have to stay within a track just because when you registered, when you were admitted, that's what you chose. We actually, as advisors, want you to get some exposure to the courses and get to know the faculty this first semester, and you can make switches. So there was always something called the individualized track, which meant that, excuse me, you didn't make a choice. You said, I'm going to pick and choose. So once we get to know you, we may switch you to a different track based on what you really think you want after we talk to you a little bit. So we kind of hated to force you to make that decision coming in, but that was just kind of a SUNY requirement. So we forced you to make that decision, but we will work with you to make sure that you've made the right decision. There's also something called certificates, and I'll show you those in a moment. Certificates, and is anybody here just in a certificate program? And I don't mean just, but certificate programs are fewer courses. Could you say yes? Okay. All right. So nobody's fessing up to being in certificate. You can get, excuse me, you can get a certificate when you complete certain courses, even before you've finished your master's. So it gets a little, it's a plus. Some people just take certificates and then maybe decide to join the program itself later, or maybe they just take a certificate because that's all they needed. So we have a couple of tracks going. So, and again, this is why the decisions for courses become important. We have, I don't know if anyone wants to say, how many core courses do we have? Does anyone remember from the slides? There'll be a bonus.
Yep.
Okay, all right.
Five.
Nobody's cheating. Okay, so they remember. Five cores. And I'm not sure what bonus I can give you. I'm not there. I can't give you a candy. And that wouldn't be good for your teeth. Oh, and Farina's trying to jump to the front of the class. You remember there are 4 electives.
Jelly bean.
And tell you something about jelly beans. And so we'll keep the dentist in business. Virtual jelly beans. Okay, so you're right. There are 5 courses. And so there are 4 electives. And you'll see in a moment, we have among us, I think, some 20 choices. And you'll see that slide in a minute. So doing the math is going to be a challenge, but you will work with the advisor. Now, how many of you, if you type in the chat, how many of you want to take 2 courses a semester as opposed to 1? If you can take 1 or 2, you can, depending on your schedule, if you had the time, you could take 3. But most of you, are you figuring 2 or 1? Okay, oh, someone's got someone with 3. 1, 2, okay. All right. Okay, well, we'll see. You can have a range. Yeah, Diane knew the answer. Okay, Jeff wants 2. Sometimes teachers, honestly, you may have a licensure moment coming up and you're kind of wanting to fast track. You know, we do have a lot of people take 2. And the 2 courses can move you through if you're very careful with scheduling. You could take the 2 courses, 30 credits, and you could finish in 5 semesters. But that's where the scheduling becomes important. And, you know, if any math teachers in the group, combinations, permutations, we have a lot of combinations and permutations, and we have some fixed points and we have some variables. So you want to have those conversations with your instructors, or with your advisors. I'll show you why in a moment. Just to kind of follow up, and again, I'll send this out. Certificates are available as an independent area. You don't have to be part of the matriculated MALET program to get a certificate. And we have 3 certificates. And let me see if I have the picture of certificates. Should have a picture of them. I don't. Well, we have Susan's Emerging Media and Technology for the Arts. And I have the STEM education. And Diane spearheads the teaching and learning with emerging technologies. So those are an aggregation of different courses. And I will be sure I get that into the material so that if you want that. But we have a big catalog. We have a graduate catalog that summarizes everything. Now, this is where we're going to give you the test. Okay. Can everybody see that? I don't know how big your screens are. Can you guys see this grid? Okay. Now we'll only give you a test on the bright red ones. Okay. This kind of summarizes our program. At the very top of the core courses that we talked about, that everybody has to take to graduate. Then these are the tracks where we've kind of logically aggregated different courses. And you can see on the far right, we have the individualized track. Now, if you stay within a track and take all of the 4 courses, on your diploma, on your transcript, it will list the track as your concentration. That's really the big benefit of that if that's important for you. But I would say most of our students, and I don't know if Diane and Susan would agree or not agree, do the menu system. They pick and choose from different parts. And Diane and Susan, have you seen anybody, many of your students stick really with just a track?
I've had a few. It depends on, particularly if they're art faculty members and, or teachers, they want to stay in that track and, how to learn how to integrate, digital learning and, various tools to their teaching. And I've also had people come into the program, like, as I said before, who are actually artists, who are starting to expand out into more teaching kinds of opportunities in their professional careers. Some people are trainers as well. We've had some really interesting people, from fire people to EMTs, do all kinds of really interesting things in the program.
Yeah, so those would be people who would, and well, Susan's track actually has an elective in it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of maybe changing that. We'll see.
Oh, okay. The challenge isn't getting the courses. The challenge is the next slide, called the schedule. Okay. This is where the combinations and permutations of math come in. And this is why we won't have everyone's individual conversation today, but this takes the courses here and breaks them into when they're available. And you will have the link to this. This happens to be in a Google spreadsheet. We will be using Google products a lot. I love Chromebooks, but you can't do the whole work on a Chromebook. We will be really getting you into the Google products. They're very good for schools. So we have this in a spreadsheet. When you go into this, you'll be able to click any one of the titles and it will bring you over to the course description. Now that happens to also be in our graduate catalog, but it's not interactive. So I think you'll appreciate this. But this is where the challenge comes in. When are the courses given? And I'm pointing and you can't see, sorry. I don't know if you can see this. The core courses are given twice. And we have fall, spring, and summer. Now, I didn't realize until somebody asked, the fall courses, we all kind of know. The irony is, in higher ed, spring courses start in the winter, and summer courses start in the spring. So that can be confusing. Spring courses start in January, run till May, somewhere in April or May. So anyway, we'll have to work with you to be sure that if you have picked a track and you want to stick strictly within the track, that we can get those courses in within your time frame. So if you are only going one course a semester, you have more options in terms of when you take courses. If you really need to double up and go 2 courses a semester, we're going to have to watch you more carefully. And that can be because of needing to get out for licensure reasons. It can also be for financial aid reasons. So anyway.
Add one thing, Eileen.
Yeah, right there.
The other thing to note is that the summer semester, for those of us who are full-time faculty, we only teach in an 8-week term. So you're taking basically a full semester, 15-week, and we crunch it into an 8. So if you do a summer semester, know that it's going to be intense to get through the material of a larger term into almost half of what you would normally do. Mm-hmm. So it's just good to think about, depending on if things, rotate into the summer, how do you balance that with as you follow your tracking?
Yeah, and we want to keep in mind we are a full graduate program, so we will work you, but I think you will find the work very productive. But we enjoy our job, and hopefully you will enjoy working with us. So I want to wrap it up with just a couple more concluding things. I will not give you a quiz, and if I could pass out candy, I would give it to you for just coming in so late at night. But the other thing is, what I want to remind you of is we have, I don't know if anyone went to one of these, we have a conference. We've had 5 years of this conference and learning with innovative technologies. And have any of you gone to this conference? It's in Saratoga. It was physically in Saratoga until the summer when we had to go online. But I don't know if anyone's been to it. Oh, Heather, you've got to fess up. Heather's been to it.
I've been to it.
Yeah. Well, as a matter of fact, you're one of the, you're kind of one of the logistical persons on it, aren't you?
I'm the faculty rep on the committee. So this year was, Christine Page really is the person behind the curtain. But I guess I hear I didn't attend the conference this year online, but I virtually I did hear that it went well.
Mhm. Yeah, it's a great conference. It's free. It's one day. Christine Page is our magician. She makes lots of things happen, and she brings a lot of people. A lot of vendors come in. They provide a free lunch, and you really get to meet. We bring in higher ed and K-12. It's a really rich environment, and so our fifth one, which was last July, we did it online, even with COVID. So I want to just kind of, keep that out in the works. We are really involved. We get, and Saratoga High School has been very good to let us literally work with them on this. Couple more things, just to show you, and again, no quiz on this, but just to show you some of the final projects and capstones that we've had. The capstones here, and I don't know if you can read this, I'll send it out. Actually, I see I have a link in here that will bring you to blurbs about what these students did. Very interesting group that created different things. There was a biological study of things that you could do with a portable microscope that fits onto your cell phone. We had storytelling with 2D and 3D on augmented reality programs. We had a teacher who wanted all her students to know how to make their own Google sites. So these are just a selection of what our students did in their capstones this past spring. And just a few other things to show you. This is a little more historic. Some of these are some of our original work done early in the program, where we had people working with MOOCs, which are massive online courses. We had somebody working on the storytelling. We have had a lot of people design virtual reality. I kind of teach a virtual reality course. Many people have made their own islands. Oh, good, I can do this. So we've had a number of virtual reality things. We had healthcare. We had a number of healthcare people. One student prototyped an augmented reality mannequin that in the hospitals, when they train people, they use these mannequins. The mannequins are very expensive and get out of date. So she was developing something that you could do with the iPad and bring it over the mannequin. And so she was prototyping the process. We've had maker spaces. Somebody from the Canadian Museum did that. Somebody designed a virtual reality museum. We've had somebody else do coding, computer coding in a high school for art students. So we've really had quite a diverse range of things. We had a high school Spanish teacher who created an immersive VR environment that looked like different parts of Spain. And so lots of work there from different groups. But I wanted to kind of wrap this up with reminding you who some of us are. You haven't met all of us. You'll meet us in our courses. And I know that was kind of a brain dump of a lot of areas, but I'd like to turn the floor over to you folks to either unmute your mic and ask a question or type it in the chat. And thank you for staying awake this long.
There are no bad or wrong questions, just so you know. Don't be afraid to say, I'm not sure if I understand this, blah, blah, blah.
So quiet.
Yeah.
Well, and we're all teachers. We know something called wait time, that we don't jump in right away or else that will discourage.
One question about the first advisor meeting will be scheduled, and just in response to that, please feel free at any time to reach out to your designated advisor or really anybody in the program. Best way is always an initial email, and we are all very willing to connect with you on phone meetings, video meetings, however is most convenient for your meetings. So don't wait. Reach out, and if you're ready, and we'll be very happy to connect with you. Tess is asking, she's unable to log into her email account. Who best to contact for that? This is her ESC account, just not her particular email. I don't know if Eileen, you want to address that, or Heather? Eileen is saying to contact Grad Services, and she typed in the email address in the chat.
I'm doing the reverse muting. That's the other side of the house. And when you get these instructions, you'll be able to click onto the links, but they have the link that shows you how to do that. And grad.services@esc.edu is a wonderful group. They have a number of people that man that line and can direct you to those sides. We're more the academic side. We don't always know the bells and whistles, and so we don't see that piece. But that's going to be I think they were in the blue group. They will be able to help you get that. And they've been sending out a lot of messages. They have a lot of workshops, and they're working hard to create the workshops and even make them as little webinars so that you could see them later. But you want to get those things done as quickly as possible. When do I? Oh, good question, Diane. The courses start September 8th. We have something called a preview week, which means that you can see it the week in advance, depending on the instructor. The instructor may not choose to open the course yet. So it starts September 8th. Honestly, most instructors have the assignments due kind of on the weekend. So your really first homework, at least in my class, this is going to be the end, more like the 15th of September. So you still have a little bit of time. And I want to say too, with my advisees, I have a lot of advisees. I'm going to be doing some group advisement. I won't have time to spend an hour on the phone with each one separately. So I'm going to be doing some group things around people who have similar interests to get through some generalities, and then I'll be emailing back and forth. So depending on the instructor, the advisor, there'll be different ways we'll work with you. I personally want my students to get a little exposure to the program. So I don't like to do advisement too early, because I want you to see a little bit about what the kind of courses are. So we start getting a sense of where you feel comfortable, but that's, each advisor works differently. So, but courses, be ready to hit the ground running more towards September 8th to, the end of that week, and pace yourself. If that means you want to do a couple of things, a couple of nights a week and a day or two on the weekend, be prepared. If you haven't been in school for a while and need some retooling, hopefully maybe you can start with one course and get your feet wet. If you're going to jump in with two, be prepared. These are graduate courses. I will say they should be very aligned with your interests, but you are making a commitment to yourself and to your profession. And we will be exposing you to a lot of ideas and a lot of discussions and dialogues, and you'll be making a lot of technologies. So, we will be hoping you're challenged, but productively challenged. So, yeah, and depending on the faculty, we do have synchronous courses. We don't have synchronous courses. You do not come online and we just lecture. Hopefully this is one of the few lectures that you're going to ever get. But we may have synchronous meetings. And I know I have some in my courses, and when you look at the course, you're told in advance. Some instructors prefer to kind of look and see what's going on in the course and then have a seminar. So it's instructor to instructor. Do expect that there will be some synchronous, that means same time, meetings through a Zoom session. I have people meet in virtual reality, which I hope you will enjoy. It's different, but you're going to have an avatar in my classes. So, you know, it'll depend on the instructor, but you may have several meetings a semester. But we are not online. We do not just do lectures. Well, I'll speak for myself. I don't. So other questions? And I'll put my mic off.
Yeah, we also try to have 1 or 2 times a semester, or at least 1 or 2 times a year, where we all get together as a program. And we often have students who are, you know, will showcase their final project and that sort of thing. So it's really great to know that you're really becoming a part of a community of your classmates and those who've been in the program. And you can tell by some of the stuff that are in the chat box, some of the really interesting, you know, things our students have done. And sometimes they, you know, they may be the colleagues of your future. You never know.
And we've also been prototyping something called the open home, where we're opening up the doors to students, not just in our program in MALET, but in a few of the other programs that have overlapping people with overlapping interests. And so you'll be hearing a little bit more about that, and then invitations to join. There are activities, voluntary, you know, activities and events that run through that particular open home project. So you should keep an eye out for that as well. Another outlet.
And I almost forgot to say, the faculty are going to be having a residency. It will be October 10th. It's just in the morning. That is a Saturday, so we can get you here. And if you're in my course, which is 6005, that's a requirement, but that's your only homework for the weekend. You know, you show up and you'll be meeting faculty through we're all going to have a piece that we're going to bring forward, and we have someone bringing forward something on digital gaming. We have some student alums who are bringing forward things. So that's, we've had, this will be our 3rd annual virtual residency, but it has turned, residencies are great. They give you a chance to meet faculty and other people, but they're expensive. You have to travel to them, you have to stay at a hotel. So long before COVID, we started with virtual reality residencies. Susan and Diane have done some great work there. Susan, and they're going to be bringing forth something. So we'll be meeting up with you. It's clearly marked in the course, and you'll get a chance to meet us, meet our avatar selves. And I like my avatar self better than my real self. But I think you'll get a chance to kind of see how we can work, not just in the Zoom session, but how we can do things collaboratively and actually share experiences and travels. So I will be wrapping up. We're right at 8:30. I will, you know, I'll be at 6005, so I'll be meeting a lot of you in that course, and that's when I really get to know you, because your assignments will have a lot of points where you're turning in personal information. But I'll ask my colleagues if they have concluding comments.
No concluding comments here, just to welcome everybody and to encourage you to participate in any invitations for group activities, whether it's within the course space or in the program space or in the broader cross-program space like the open home, because I think learning from the work and experiences of colleagues, both in your program, your course, your program, and across programs, is really enriching. And now's your opportunity. Before you know it, you know, the experience passes. So while we're here, we are very excited to work with you and to learn about you and your interests and your projects. And we hope you share with others as well.
One other thing, I mean, just in general, we know that this is a lot of work. You're managing many things in your life, your family, your own professional job life. And sometimes sh ... happens. And so you just got to communicate with us. If you see something is coming up, instead of waiting for it to get out of your control, just say, oh, Professor Forbes, man, this stuff is coming up. Can we sort of negotiate and work out a thing? Most of us are very open to really accommodating. You know, we don't want to do it every week, but we know that sometimes you say, I've got this really big thing happening at, at work next week. And, can I get my stuff in on, Wednesday instead of Sunday night, those kinds of things. And usually we're pretty open to that. But you have to talk to us, don't wait for it to become such a big thing that we can't negotiate a way to make it work for you.
And thank you all. And Susan, that was a great kind of a point there. Communicate with us. We are reasonable people, but we do not have the time or the energy to be chasing you.
Yeah, we don't chase.
We cannot be babysitters. We're going to expect you to be professional. And if there is an issue, that you get in touch with us, that you'll have our emails in all sorts of ways. But Heather, do we have a final closing word from our coordinator?
Oh, I'm not coordinator till September 1st, Eileen.
Oh, there.
All I have to say is it's late. It's been wonderful to be on with my MALET colleagues and new students. Welcome, and have a restful rest of your evening.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
And I
everyone.
sent the slides and the
Soon.
recording. Night, everybody.
Bye.